50 years, there have been some things that you can count on. If you can run the football, you have a chance to win. And boy, do we have guys who can do that in this one. Welcome, everyone, to Louisville, Kentucky, L&N Stadium, home of the Cardinals. As we'll see a squad from the Big Ten, the LSU Tigers, taking on one of the participants from last year's playoff, the Louisville Cardinals. 3A Sports College Football. I'm Reese Davis, David Pollack, Jesse Palmer alongside. Guys, we can't wait to see this game. Been looking forward to it all week. LSU ready to kick it away to get things started. He'll bring it out from inside his own 10. He was hoping for something a little more dynamic, but they get him on the ground at the 20. To the ground with the back. Defense there to... after a gain of 1 to the 22. This is a kind of game, a top 25 matchup in the early season that you look for when you're trying to build your resume.
Yeah, these are so fun because as a player, you kind of get bored if you don't get challenged. But when you got an early season challenge like this, all the adrenaline, all the juice, Palmer, you're ready to rock and roll.
I love this. We've had this game circled for a long time because we learn a lot in these types of games. What are these teams about? Which conferences are better? You're going to get a lot of answers today.
And he's swallowed up at the line of scrimmage by the big defensive tackle.
Nice job by the defense, seeing the run, pulling the trigger, getting downhill, and stopping the running back for no gain.
So already they've hit a speed bump on this opening drive. It's 3rd and 8. Back to throw, it's Reed. Fires to the middle. Finds a man on the left. The sophomore making a big play and hauling in that pass.
Man, what makes this offense so difficult to defend is they've got receivers that have speed and that can separate. On the first drive of the game, they found a soft spot in the middle of the field, and they took advantage.
And the Cardinals will line it up on 1st and 10. Wants to adjust the pattern. Looking downfield on 1st down. Fires left. Picked off, and the opening drive is stopped with an interception. Got some room to run.
And that's kind of a double whammy for this offense because on their opening drive, not only did they turn it over with the interception, but they've now set their defense up in a really tough spot deep in their own end.
Great place to start for this offense. Looking to throw on 1st down. Hit hard as he released the ball on that 1st down pass, and it never had a chance.
Man, it's easy to play defense when you can do this. When you can get to the quarterback quick and make him make a decision quick, it makes it easier for the secondary, for the linebackers, for everybody on the field.
Working well behind the sticks on 2nd down. He'll take it himself. Turning it on. He stopped at the 14-yard line, and they'll stay on the attack from there.
Well, I don't know what the quarterback saw on that last play, but he made a pretty quick decision that he was just going to tuck it and run it, and his offensive coordinator is glad he did. How about the speed by the QB on that play?
The Tigers are at the line looking to convert on 3rd and short. to the air. It's Stevens. He's got it on the move. They get him stopped at the 5-yard line, but it will be 1st and goal from there.
Defenses are put in such a tough spot when offenses get in 3rd and short because the whole playbook is open and they go with the pass. I love it. They sneak the pass in there. Nice success. Great job by the quarterback getting rid of the football, getting the 1st down, now set up 1st and goal.
They'll keep it on the ground for 1st and goal. Into the end zone he goes. Touchdown, Tigers.
A big question mark for this offense coming into the year, guys. Who could score touchdowns? Who are going to be their biggest playmakers on offense? This guy scored in the 1st game. He's off to a great start in this one with that touchdown. This guy looks like the real deal.
And he's got the extra point, and it's 7-0 to start this one. Quick work on that scoring drive, just 4 plays. Kickoff unit on the field, and this defense will be called on to protect this lead. And it'll come out to the 25. No attempt at a return. Going here. Wants to throw on 1st down. Quarterback now on the run, still looking. Trying to make magic on the... They stripped it out. And they put it on the deck, but it gets out of bounds to avoid the turnover.
Man, that's one of those where you just go, dadgummit, if we had a little bit more space. Nice job creating the fumble, but just running out of real estate, not able to land on it. Man, you just get a little bit frustrated because you wanted that turnover. You caused the fumble. You just couldn't secure it.
They've got it at the 37. It's 1st and 10. Quarterback making checks. Scanning the field. It's Reed. Going to throw it over the top of the D. Oh, he dropped it. That deep ball was right on the money. You just have to make that catch.
And the offense clearly saying, we want to take those deep shots. We want to be aggressive. And I think that's a good strategy because it makes the defense really honor what you're going to do. And just missed a little bit, but I wouldn't be surprised if this offense finds a way to come back to some of those deep balls.
Behind the chains now on 2nd and long. The give to the back. Pass the sticks, and he may get more. There he goes to the left. He's at the 10. Touchdown, Louisville! And once he found open space, the band might as well start playing.
Man, I am a great play caller when I can hand it to guys like that. And he can go that far to the house, create big plays, showed you a little bit of vision, showed you a little bit of burners. When he kicked it in gear, he got the long touchdown.
They're set to kick it off, and this crowd now ready to get behind them. And he takes this from inside the 5. He was looking for some running room, but not much to be found as he stopped at the 18. LSU will dive into the playbook here on offense. Last drive went for 6. We'll see if they can do it again. Quarterback quick pass to the receiver. Makes a man miss. Good, solid, determined run there. They'll mark him down at the 27.
And that play is essentially like a jet sweep, right? This offense is going to run the football conventionally. They'll do it between the tackles. They'll do it outside. But there's a lot of different creative ways they can get their playmakers the football in the running game, and I think that was an example of what you saw right there.
Defense fills those gaps. He's got 1 to the 28.
And that was a nice 2nd down run and setting up 3rd and inches. And now it's physical time, right? Like, they know you might run the football. You know you probably want to run the football. How can you be more physical? Sometimes bring some extra bodies, some extra tight ends in. Go to that play that you know is your short yardage play.
early ball on 3rd and short. Stopped in the backfield, and this defense has forced him into 4th down. Looks as if LSU will line up to punt it away. Getting our first look of the afternoon at the punter. It'll bounce out of bounds, and they'll spot it at the 40. They'll start this drive 60 yards in front of them from their own 40. Dropping back, it's Reed. Going for it all. Touchdown Cardinals. They won it all, and that is exactly what they got.
The great thing about spreading a defense out, I can see where the blitz is coming from. I can see where they're weak. I can see my matchups. Nice job by the offense. Spread them out, taking advantage of their matchup, and getting in for the score.
And for a quick update, let's go to Kevin Connors in the studio.
Guys, wanted to get you a quick update on a game happening in the MAC. TCU is currently trailing, but if this young star leads a comeback today, he could join former Heisman winner Davey O'Brien among the legends to wear that uniform. It's a touchdown game. They're trailing by 7 to Western Michigan. Your boy KC has you covered here in studio, guys, in case anything changes in this meeting in the MAC.
Thanks for the update on that one. Kevin, let us know when it goes final. To the air on 1st down. Flushed out of the pocket.
Defense is all about creating negative plays, and he does a really good job at the quarterback spot of not taking sacks. Like, that's a great job. He wants to throw the football. The clock goes off. He takes off. He gets a positive game.
The give out of the gun. Brought down, but looks as if LSU will pick up the 1st down. LSU doing what it always does when they're really good, moving the ball on the ground.
Yeah, trying to find that physicality. They get so many great players across the country. LSU has the pick of people in Louisiana. Everybody wants to come there, and you can tell they always find great talent, and they're always able to run the football.
They'll get him stopped just short of the end zone, but they're in business here with the 1st down.
Well, after that last play, you can see how electrifying this guy is and how special he is after he makes the catch. If I'm on offense, I'm trying to find a lot of ways to get him touches in this game.
LSU lining up 1st and goal. Slams ahead. And they'll make the stop, and we are headed to the end of the 1st period. We're through one, and what a back-and-forth battle between these two quarterbacks as we look at the stats. They flipped into the field, and we're ready to play. They'll try to open this quarter by sticking it in the end zone here. Looking for a path to the end zone to the right. And maybe he'll get back to the line of scrimmage, but no more than that.
Well, he gets tackled down at the 1-yard line, so offensively, do you feel confident enough on 3rd here trying to hand it off again?
Yeah, and I'm taking both these downs, and I'm coming downhill. I'm running the football, trying to get this in the end zone. I only got a yard to go. I got to be physical.
Now it's 3rd and goal. This is a designed run. And he rolls into the house.
It's like having an extra running back in your backfield. This quarterback is magic. When he decides to keep the football, he can make people look absolutely silly. He shows you on that play.
Well, you could draw a line in the middle, and he would have hit that thing. And that extra point leaves us deadlocked here in the second. They're coming out to tee it up for the kickoff, and that last score was a real buzzkill for this crowd. On the move from inside his own 20. Finally stopped after a solid return out to the 32. Headed back out on the field. Boy, that last touchdown, the one-play quick strike scored. Jesse, this offense hoping to keep that kind of explosiveness going.
And I don't know if they're going to get the same looks defensively because of just how explosive that play was, Reese. David, they may be seeing a little bit more off coverage on this drive and maybe some softer boxes to run into.
And when you make that kind of explosive play, you're going to put the defense on its heels. They're going to be a little bit more conservative. So this offensive approach now, maybe I don't have to go deep. I can go a little bit shorter and just make those easy plays underneath.
From the gun, to give, looking for room. Knocked down after getting 6 all the way out to the 34-yard line.
It's got to feel good as an offense knowing that early in the drive you can turn around, hand it off, get a push up front, and go get positive yardage.
Try to make up for some of that lost ground on second down. Wide receiver going in motion. Now on the move. Just sort of a relentless run, getting everything that was available to him, and they'll mark him down at the 40.
You know, we talk about quarterbacks having to make quick decisions, and I think you saw it on that play. Nobody open downfield, but he just decided to take off.
The Cardinals come to the line on third down, trying to keep this drive alive. Quarterback keeps it. And he gets it to the 44-yard line. It'll be a first down. And the Cardinals come to the line with a new set of downs. Making side adjustments here. On the run, it's Marshall.
I like the quarterback making the decision quickly. I'm going to give it. I'm not going to throw the football off the RPO and just let my back get some positive yards. You're getting 5+ yards. That is a great job by the offense. Continue to stick with that.
The Cardinals can really attack on this second and short. He'll keep it himself. Oh, he's got some space. And excellent vision to find running room there and make a really good pickup before the defense put a stop to it.
Man, this defense has to be better. You have to stop the first part of the option, and that is the quarterback. And he gets loose. He gets the first down, another set of downs. They need to figure out this plan and how to stop this quarterback.
And the Cardinals look to keep this drive humming. Rides the back and leaves it on the option. And the defense holds firm. No pickup at all on that play.
Defense is about firing off, hitting the offensive guys and staying in your gaps. Everybody knowing where they're supposed to be. You can tell the defense, everyone was right where they're supposed to be, nowhere to run.
Looking to pass, it's Reed. Throws for the tight end. Working that left side. They bring him down, but not before he's able to pick up the first down.
Nice catch by the big target. Those big tight ends, you could tell in football, are just becoming more and more of a weapon on every single team.
Using his feet. Can't get him to the ground. Not much running room there thanks to this senior defender.
As a defensive guy now, you're always zoomed in on the quarterback. I mean, these guys, whether they're throwing the football or running it, at least they have the football in their hands every time. You know where they're going to be. You focus in. The defense locked and loaded, understand what they were trying to accomplish, doing a good job getting to the quarterback, and then make those physical hits count. Finish those tackles with aggressive hits. Make that quarterback feel you for a whole length of a game.
The give on the inside. And the defense makes the stop after a minimal gain. They've got to come up with a big play on this 3rd and long. He might want another play. Third and long, and he'll try to throw for it. Makes the catch. They make the tackle, but he's got a fresh set of downs, and it's 1st and goal from the 7. Third down, a lot of times it comes down to not necessarily who's the most open, who do you trust the most?
No, it's not about the X's and the O's. It's about the Jimmies and the Joes. And when my guy's better than you and I get you matched up out wide and I know I trust you,
looking for the end zone. And they'll shove him out of bounds after the short gain.
Love the play call by the offense. Love drag routes down this close to the goal line. 1st down, you're just trying to get an easy completion, catch and run, walk in, score. Defense made a nice play. They made the tackle, so now you got to turn the page. You got to find something here on 2nd.
Looking for just 1 more yard. It's 2nd and goal. Trying to power it in. This time he doesn't get loose, and finally the defense gets him bottled up behind the line. Referee signals timeout. It's the defense wanting to make sure that they have everything just right with a big play coming. The pressure ramps up on 3rd and goal. They'll keep it on the ground. And he's wrestled to the ground. Quick timeout by the defense there, trying to make sure everyone has the same call.
Man, if I'm quarterback right now, after this long of a drive, down this close, I'm going for a touchdown here, Pop.
And I get that, but I've worn this defense out. Man, I'm going to go for the touchdown right here. And if I miss, they got to go the whole length of the field to score a touchdown.
Right down the boulevard. It's good. And with that, they've taken the lead. We check in with Kevin Connors. What's going on, Kevin?
Tough to beat in action, gentlemen. You know that. Let's take a look at the highlights. TCU is currently trailing, but if this young star leads a comeback today, he could join former Heisman winner Davey O'Brien among the legends to wear that uniform. It's a touchdown game. They're trailing by 7 to Western Michigan. The Maction never sleeps, and we'll circle back. If anything big happens, you should know about it.
Oh, and how about that? I know Kevin and those guys will be keeping it. He's going to fire deep. Reels it in down the left side. And how about that? What the doctor always ordered, an explosive play to the 40.
Who needs a 2-minute offense when you're this explosive? This offense creates the big play, completely flips the field position right away, now in a position to go ahead and score points before the half.
The short hands, it's Watkins. They'll ride him out of bounds after the good pickup spotted at the 25-yard line. Down to the 26-yard line and a 1st down. Looking for a man. It's Stevens. It's complete to the left. They make the stop, trying to pick up just a little bit at a time to get to that 1st down marker. They'll line up for a 2nd down play. Looking to fire. Unloads it left. Touchdown, Bayou Bengals. Made the grab and then did the rest himself, and they put points on the board.
And I just love the execution by this offense. Late in the half, man, you want to take the lead. You want to get that momentum on your side, and they do it. They finish it with the passing game. And I'll tell you what, keep that passing game up. You can keep this lead, keep the momentum, and keep putting up numbers.
They'll try to add another to their lead. And that kick was perfectly down the middle. Quick work on that scoring drive, just 4 plays. And the scoring play comes on a touchdown pass from 22 yards out. Kickoff unit on the field, and this defense will be called on to protect this lead. And no chance at a return here. They'll start this drive at their own 25. Drive starts from their own 25-yard line. Might be changing the route. Wants to go up top on first down. And the quarterback caught up 2 and sacked at the 12. Here's a timeout on the field. Tight game here late in the first half.
I love the defensive effort there. They didn't get him right away. They stayed after him. He was scrambling, going backwards. They get the sack on the first play of the drive.
The Cardinals trying to find their way forward after the big loss on the last play. Back to throw, it's Reed. Pressure coming. Gonna take a shot. And the pass falls harmlessly to the ground. We'll see if the laundry is as harmless. Remember, if your entire body is past the line of scrimmage when you throw the football, that's a penalty. He was, and the penalty will be accepted. You make up the game plan and not a lot on the play sheet for this. 3rd and long from inside their own 20. Looking downfield, and he needs a bunch. He's not afraid to go deep. Intercepted. A first half turnover can swing momentum. And they get the takeaway and prevent points from going up just before the end of the half.
Well, that's a huge moment here in the game at the end of the first half because the offense is trying to march down the field. They're trying to cut into the opponent's lead. But with that interception and with that return, the defense now, they've put their team in an opportunity to pad their lead with more points here at the end of the first half.
Fires to the wideout. They needed a big play, and they got it. And the foot down for the first down.
I love that play call, and quarterbacks are always licking their chops after their defense gets a takeaway because they know now, hey, I got a sudden change situation. I've got a chance to take a shot and pad my stats.
They get to him as he throws. It is incomplete, and now there are 4 seconds remaining.
And that pressure got to him quick. I mean, you talk about you want your quarterback to feel comfortable. Man, he didn't have time to feel comfortable. He didn't have time to get his feet set and get in the ground. This offensive line's got to do a better job.
Oh, he missed it. No good. After the miss, the lead is still 4. That's going to wrap up the first half here. And now we join Kevin with the halftime update. And the Cardinals will line up to kick off and start the second half. The kickoff bounces through the end zone. They'll bring it out to the 25. Will run the offense out onto the field. They got plenty done through the air in the first half, and we'll see if they even need to look for balance as we start the third quarter.
Well, and and I think defensively, you understand, like the running game isn't a big part of the plan. I wonder how they adjust and play more coverage to this pass-happy offense.
Yeah, so you're going to have to be ready if you're a quarterback, then. You're probably going to see some different coverages. You might see a little bit more blitz in the second half as well, so you have to know where your answers are.
Running back searching for a hole. Got the first down and more. All down, but he has enough to move the chains.
Definitely been tough sledding for this guy, especially in the first half. They gave him the ball a bunch, but they just don't have a ton of yards on the ground to show for it at this point. That looked like a pretty good run, though. You just wondered maybe in the second half, if they keep giving him the football, it may start paying some dividends.
Fires to the tight end. Oh, what a move to get room. They'll get him down, but not before he crosses the 50. He's down to the 49.
Well, I know the tight end did some good things after the catch, but got to give the quarterback credit, too, for the location of the throw. Because he put it out in front of his big man, he was able to make the catch and accelerate, creating some distance there between him and the defense.
Grab behind the line. It's Berry. And this one will be stopped for no gain.
Yeah, nice job by the defense. That's what you're supposed to do. As soon as they catch the football, you want to limit that yards after the catch, and he went nowhere after the catch. Nice job on the D.
Well, will they dial up on second and a long way to go? Looking downfield, it's Stevens. Makes the grab, it's Green. He's brought down, but there's a flag on the field. Let's see what the call is. This offense plenty happy enough with the result of that play, so they just let the official put that flag back in his pocket and decline the penalty. The offense comes back out with a new set of downs after the penalty. Motion from the wide receiver. Leaves it with the back. Knocked down behind the line of scrimmage. He'll lose a yard.
And this team needs more of that, man. This is a really close football game, and you've got to get these stops down the stretch and meet the physical challenge of this offense, and they do right there, man. And that's one step closer to getting this football back and maybe making this thing a football game.
Looking down the middle. Oh, it's picked off. That's not the start they hoped for. Couldn't find much breathing room to return it, but the interception has this offense in business at the 27.
And I tell you what, when defenses play zone, all eyes are on the quarterback. You have a zone to drop to, but you're setting on the quarterback, reading his eyes. Great job on the defense, understanding the ball was coming out, breaks on the football, goes and makes the INT.
Louisville has it back in the offense, coming out ready to attack. He is going nowhere. Stop at the line of scrimmage.
The whole point of running the quarterback on these designed runs is to get an extra blocker. You should be getting more movement up front, but that time, guys were getting knocked backwards, and as a result, they actually lost a yard.
The offense changing the play. Going to swing it on second down. He fires to the left side. And it goes through his hands. Oh, he had an explosive play right there for the taking, but couldn't reel it in.
Well, you can see the frustration on this guy's face. He's one of the best receivers in college football, and they knew coming into this game that he had to get touches, but you can't say enough about how good this defense has been defending him. They've always had an answer, whether it's single coverage, double coverage, man.
And that is interception number 3 on the day. A return there would have just been icing on the cake. They'll just have to settle for the cake at the 23.
Well, I love the job by the coaching staff there defensively, matching the personnel of the offense, putting their dime package out on the field. So you bring out the extra defensive back, you're anticipating a pass, perfect timing to run that personnel, and you get the pick.
LSU will dive into the playbook here on offense. That last drive was promising for a while, but you just can't mess it up at the end with the pick, Jesse.
No, you've got to be able to finish drives, especially in this game. If you're going to win in David, they've got to be able to eliminate the mental mistakes.
Yeah, and I don't think you get conservative or play it safe. You can trust your guy. I think you put the ball right back in his hands and let him do his thing.
Back to throw, it's Stevens. Moving away from pressure. He's going to take off. He's stopped at the 14-yard line, and they'll stay on the attack from there.
Well, you're making a positive out of a negative. In that time, quarterback, nice job buying time. He's trying to throw the football downfield. Nothing there, so instead of throwing it away and getting the...
Headed to the end zone. Touchdown, Tigers. And they add 6 more to the board with that trip to the house. The offense flexes its muscle a bit and widens the gap.
Take a little exhale. You know, you did your job. You got points. Now you put your defense in a position where, hey, go out and get another stop. We're in great shape, so the offense definitely taking care of their business.
Lining up to tack one more onto that lead. And with the extra point, we have a 28-17 ball game. Let's go to the studio now and check in with Kevin Connors. Kevin, what do you got?
A lot of eyeballs on your game, guys, and a few on this interesting matchup as well. NC State is piling up the points here today. They've opened up a massive lead in what's shaping up to be the kind of blowout neither side will soon forget. They're up by 24 over the Groupers. Any big developments in this one, we've got you covered with the best studio team in the business. Gentlemen?
And how about that one? Kevin will be keeping an eye on everything going on elsewhere. They'll get this drive started from the 29. They'll start this drive going to the air. Grabbed over the middle. It's Hawkins. They'll mark him down at the 40 after ripping off 10.
When these wide receivers work the middle of the field, so much of this is feel. Understanding where the holes are in the zone or understanding how to get leverage on a man. And these wide receivers are dangerous nowadays.
Breaks into the open. They'll get him stopped at the 45, but it's a big 15-yard pickup and a first down.
And a great job by the offensive line. If you're going to run the ball right up the middle, you better control the line of scrimmage. You can see the center, the guard, the tackles doing a good job getting on their guys just enough where this running back can get into space and make the big gain.
That's caught. It's Hawkins. And a good job in coverage there as they stop it after just a few.
I love the anticipation on that throw by the QB on the out route. You got to throw it before the receiver comes out of his break. Nice work.
To the air, it's Reed. Quickly out to the tight end. Dragged down, but they'll move the sticks for a first down. Big catches, big plays, tons of yards through 3 quarters for these two guys. Here comes the fourth. Time to see who steps up, who makes the winning plays to take home that W. They go back to work with a first down in the final period of this one. On the move. Stonewalled again. No gain on the play. They keep trying to stick with the running game, but there's not much getting done. So now it's 2nd and long. He wants to change this route. They'll go to work in the air on 2nd down. Going for the big play. And he's on his way. He'll go all the way. Touchdown, Cardinals!
Forget about those tight ends, right? They come up and they block most of the time, and a lot of time near the line of scrimmage, and then occasionally offenses do a great job, get creative, find a way to get a good matchup for the tight end, and he does the rest and gets in for 6.
They'll go for 2 here and try to climb within a field goal late.
Yankee blue, green 25. Terrier.
Looking to throw, it's Reed. He's got it. Two-point conversion is good, and now they're within a field goal here in the fourth.
And that's a sneaky big two-point conversion right there by this offense. Like, cutting the lead now. They're only down by 3. I think this is big because you put some game pressure now on the other side of the football. This offense now knows they have to come out here, score some points, or this could get interesting.
That one bounds through the end zone, and it'll be a touchback. Bengals will run the offense out onto the field. Takes a handoff. It's Berry. Didn't get much done on that line. He'll fight his way out and maybe pick up a yard.
And you can feel the momentum a little bit, right? I mean, the fourth quarter has kind of changed, and this defense is settled in. Their offense has scored as well. So this is a big tipping point in this football game. This is a big possession because Uncle Mo is all on the side of the defense.
Fires to the right. And the pass is incomplete. Jarred loose by the hit.
And the big tight end, a lot of times that's a bigger strike zone, a bigger dude, and you can tell they put the hit on him, and that ball came out, and it came to the turf. Nice job playing physical by this defense.
On 3rd and long, trying to have a big completion here. Unloads to the wideout. And a missed opportunity on 3rd down as the defense knocks it free, and 4th down is coming up. LSU will bring the punt team on the field. This will be the 2nd time they've had to kick it away. He will not make a fair catch. Field the punt and bring it back. They'll put a stop to that return as he gets it up to the 41-yard line. The Louisville offense is headed back out on the field. This certainly hasn't been their best day, but there's no time for mistakes now. They have to execute if they want to snatch this thing from the fire. First play of the drive, wants to throw. Quarterback moving out of the pocket. Got a man, it's McWilliams.
And how about the defense? How big was that stop? Forcing the punt, getting it back to the offense, and all of a sudden, you feel the momentum now on their side.
Here comes the offense on 2nd down. That's caught. It's McWilliams. They knock him down, but he's got enough to get it across the line and pick up the 1st down. Here's this offense with a fresh set of downs. From the gun, the ground game. At the 35, he's open. They are finding soft spots in this defense. He's got it down to the 25.
I love the play call by the offense here running the ball. The score is what it is right now. You don't have to panic. You don't have to throw it every single down. You don't have to go up tempo. Just run your stuff. Be balanced. Run the football. Make sure this defense stays honest.
The Cardinals have it with a 1st and 10. Looking to throw on 1st down. Fires to the middle. And they won't make the connection, looking to make a big play there.
Yeah, I don't know if the quarterback got confused on 1st down. He might have thought the defense was going to be in man coverage that time, but they were in zone. They fooled him, and just didn't seem like he had his eyes in the right place, was forcing that ball to his intended target. The window way too small. The guy was not open, so that didn't have that chance to be complete.
Might be calling a hot route. Right back to the air on 2nd and 10. All kinds of room to throw that one in there. That one takes it down to the 13-yard line.
Now, I think this receiver's forte is his route running. He's a guy that can line up all over the field, but it's not just catching post routes and goes. This guy can run shallows, he can run slants, he can run the option routes and find soft spots in the defense. This guy really has all the routes in his toolbox.
Caught in the backfield. backfield. It's Hawkins. They'll spot the ball at the 12 after that completion.
I don't know if that's the coverage you want to be throwing wide receiver screens against. Oftentimes, you want the receivers to have some access. You want the DBs to be off a couple yards so you can help set up the blocks and give the receiver somewhere to go with it. It's hard to run that against press coverage, and they only picked up a few yards there.
Going to work on second down in the red zone, and still some ground to cover to pick up that first down. From the gun, they'll give it on the inside. Knocked down in the backfield, and boy, this guy's had a good day, but they finally get to him on that run.
Well, this guy's been an animal all game long. He's had tons of success running the football. The defense had to do something to stop him. Give the D-line and that front seven tons of credit for being really physical there, getting the TFL.
Seventh play of the drive coming up, but a long way to go on third down. Looking to throw, it's Reed. Here's the pressure. Got it. Touchdown, Louisville. And with that, they move out front here in the fourth.
And this offense punctuates another drive. And how about the momentum? Palmer, they've got it all. The offense, the defense, playing together. They're on fire right now.
Yeah, I'm really impressed, David, with the resilience of this offense, because not everything was going their way earlier in this game, but they kept their head down, they kept chopping wood, they found a rhythm, and in this fourth quarter, David, they've been unstoppable.
And let's check in with Kevin Connors in the studio. Kevin?
Guys, let's get you up to speed on what's going down in this fun college football game today. Houston is on a tear right now. Almost reminds me of the days of the old run-and-shoot offense there at U of H. They're up by 18 over the Rebels. We'll circle back if anything big happens in this college football matchup.
Thanks for the update on that one, Kevin. Let us know when it goes final. LSU will dive into the playbook here on offense. They didn't get much done the last time they had it. Had to punt it away from deep in their own territory, hoping this drive will be more productive. And those two couldn't make the connection. It's an incomplete pass. Running game got stuffed on first down, still from their own 25 on second and 10. They'll throw again after the incompletion. Starting to feel a little pressure. Nowhere close on that one as he got drilled trying to deliver the football, and now they face third down.
And finally, the defense is able to get some pressure on this quarterback. They had been trying all game long, different ways to affect him, weren't able to get there. But on that play, because of the pressure, it affected his accuracy. That's why the ball falls incomplete.
Complete to the left. They get him out of bounds, couple of yards short of midfield. They'll mark it at the 48, and this offense is rolling.
And obviously this offense wants to keep it up. Like, keep the pace going, get as many plays as possible, maybe eke one more out here before the 2-minute timeout.
LSU getting set on first and 10. Trying to make that rush think on the draw play here. And the Tigers can play this second down a lot of ways with just a few yards to go. This quarterback part of their running game. There he goes. He works his way inside the 30 down to the 29 and picks up a first down.
Dude, when you got a guy like this that can just hit the gas, and go pick up 15-plus yards? What a luxury. How nice is it to have a quarterback like that when I'm a tailback, when I could send the tailback one direction, quarterback the other direction? This guy's just got so...
Fires deep toward the end zone. And they dialed up a shot play, but they couldn't hook up.
Well, I know it hasn't been a tremendous day statistically for this quarterback, but his decision-making has been good enough to win this game. Hasn't thrown a lot of TDs so far, but when things aren't open, he throws it away like on that play right there. He's not putting his team in a bad spot, and that's why they still have a shot to walk out of here with a W.
Plenty of distance between them and the sticks here on second down. To throw, it's Stevens. Throws to the wideout. Catch in the middle, it's Parker. He hauled that one in and got it down to the 15-yard line. Timeout called by the defense. It's their first of the half as they'll go to the sideline and try to make adjustments. All the way down to the 15-yard line. It's first down. A design run for the quarterback. Stopped at the 13-yard line as they try to turn this into points.
A nice luxury for this offense to be in right now. They don't have to be in so much of a hurry. They can still run the football, be successful. Great chance right here knocking on the door to take the lead.
Going to work in the red zone. They can't pick up the first down without getting it into the end zone. Second down, he'll throw it. And he really needed to hold on to that one, but it was not loose, and third down is coming.
Third and long, defense knows the pass is coming, so they're going to have guys with their eyes on the QB, but they're going to try to get to him with pressure, pinning their ears back. If you're on offense, you might be thinking blitz here. You better get rid of this one quick.
After the second down misfire, looking at a 3rd and 8. From the gun, wants to pass. Another incompletion on 3rd down.
And if you're the defense right now, you've given up some yards on this drive, but you've got a possession lead. You just need one more stop. After that last incompletion setting up 4th down, do you blitz? Do you try to speed up the QB? Let's find out and watch.
He'll go up top, maybe a deciding play here. Incomplete on 4th down, and man, did they need to keep that drive alive.
And that's a play the quarterback would love to have back. Late in the game, trailing by only one possession on 4th down, it looked like there was a window to put that football in, to get the catch, keep the drive going. The quarterback has an inaccurate pass. It falls incomplete, and that is probably going to do it.
And he finds enough running room, and he's marked down at the 20. Quick timeout called by the defense, stopping the clock to save as much time as possible for their offense. On second down, let's see if they go right back to the run and put this game on ice. Brown has it. Brought down at the 31 after a pickup of 10 yards on that one. Guys, this one's going to go down as a nice win against a ranked opponent, and we didn't get the upset that many had thought we might.
No, they proved to the entire country watching this game that they are indeed the superior team. Offensively, defensively, running, throwing, whatever it is they wanted to get accomplished today in all 3 phases, David, they were better.
Yeah, and listen, at this point, I don't really care about the beauty contest. Like, your goal is to survive and advance. You played a really, really good opponent. You took care of business and continue to stay above them in the rankings, which is the only thing that matters at this point in the season.
And they'll line up from the 31 on first down. Give to the back. Turning it on. Gets it to the 46-yard line. First down for this offense. a show both of these teams put on today. Couple of outstanding squads, hotly contested battle all the way to the very end.
Yeah, we came into this one expecting this to be a back-and-forth battle. We knew it was going to go down late into the fourth quarter. At the end of the day, the higher-ranked team, David, they were really able to lean on those playmakers and that leadership they've got in the locker room.
Yeah, and now I think even more so, you're starting to believe in them. They're battle-tested. This team they find a way to get things done. That's why they're ranked where they're at, and I expect this team to stay in contention for the college football playoff because they're proving week in and week out they're a really good squad.
That's going to do it from here. For David Pollack and Jesse Palmer, I'm Reese Davis, and you've been watching another presentation of EA Sports College Football.